Did Donald Trump secretly put in a safe, documented and orchestrated legally a list of pardons that he did not make public before he jumped on Air Force One out there at Joint Base Andrews and took his flight quietly into the morning down to Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach? Did he? The question is did he do that? And, you know, this question was sparked by his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, who said potentially that's what he did. And so I want to, let's listen to Michael Cohen raise that as a question, and I'll get back with my sense of commentary about it.
You know, it's interesting because Conway says that a desperate fear of criminal indictment may even explain Trump's willingness to break any number of laws to stay in office despite losing his re-election bid. Democracy and the Constitution be damned. Do you agree with that, Michael? I mean, Trump was afraid to face his
I agree.
Yeah, you do?
Alex, I agree with that. I agree with everything that George said in that article, which is sad if you think about it, because Donald Trump not only has never read the Constitution, he doesn't care about the Constitution so long as that there's a benefit to him. You know, then there's something that I also just was thinking about the other day. I had put out a tweet talking about how Trump did not pardon himself, or he did not pardon his children, or Rudy Giuliani. And after a while, of course, knowing Donald Trump for well over a decade, almost a decade and a half as I do, I started thinking to myself, it doesn't really make sense because it's not Donald Trump. So what am I missing? What are we missing as America? And I kind of think I figured it out. I think Donald Trump actually has given himself the pardon. I think he also has pocket pardons for his children and for Rudy, and it's already stashed somewhere that if and when they do get indicted and that there's a criminal conviction, federal criminal conviction brought against him, that he already has the pardons in hand. So I started searching over the weekend for whether or not the Constitution requires that pardons be disclosed to the American people or to the press. And I couldn't find anything that said that it does. And that, to me, is more in line with what George Conway is trying to say about how Donald Trump doesn't care about the law, how he will skirt the law, how he will do anything to benefit himself. And that includes even, you know, doing something like this with a pocket pardon.
I got to say, that is a stunning prospect that you bring up, not one that I've heard. And again, you said you've been thinking about this one for a while. But constitutionally speaking, how would that even work?
How does anything work constitutionally with Donald Trump? I mean, he doesn't look at it as, well, this could be violative of the Constitution. He will do what benefits him, and then he will wait for someone to tell him that it's unconstitutional, and then he'll challenge it. I mean, that's just how he works. The Constitution, democracy, none of that means anything to him. I think we've all seen that going back, I mean, as early as January 6th. Well, he doesn't care.
You know, I was flabbergasted as well by the fact that Trump did not pardon Rudy Giuliani. He didn't pardon his children. He didn't pardon himself. And that he didn't pardon anybody involved in the assault on the Temple of Democracy on the 6th of January. And I know that there is legal exposure up the wazoo for all of those persons I just named, and a whole lot of other people that perhaps we don't even know about. I was flabbergasted. What? And he just got on his plane and he left. To Frank Sinatra's "I Did It My Way." But when I heard what Michael Cohen said, I said, I bet you that's exactly what Trump did. Trump is probably put in a vault, probably put it in the care of somehow the Supreme Court justices or somebody who can validate that it was done before he left office, and pardon a whole slew of people. You know, maybe even pardon me. But the pardons will not be made known until somehow or another there is a legal issue brought against Rudy Giuliani or Ivanka or Jared. At that point, the pardon will be presented to the court and not before. So we don't know there could be 1,000 people that Trump has pardoned that we don't. And I believe Michael Cohen. I think that's including pardoning himself. That way, he leaves office without at least a lot of rancor going on in the Senate, in the House, and the representatives that he has pardoned himself. and as he faces impeachment, it's all kept quiet. The pardons will only be made known if any of these people have to ever get investigated or stand trial. The pardon, I think that's what. In fact, I know that's what he did. But there's another thing I think is very important here as well, is that the Proud Boys saw this as well, and they were a bit disenchanted with Trump. And let me read the article of what the Proud Boys said about Trump. And the way he left, I mean, right up to Monday night, he was still yapping, the way Trump usually yaps. And then all of a sudden, he just fizzled out like a balloon. Nothing, said nothing, didn't do anything, just got on the plane and left. The Proud Boys, this is a New York Times article, said the Proud Boys are ditching Trump hours after he left the White House for good, calling him a shill and extraordinarily weak. The article goes on to say the Proud Boys, once staunch allies of Trump, are calling him a shield and extraordinarily weak, the New York Times reported. Okay, the group is upset he didn't put up a bigger fight to stay in office. I thought he would have done that too. Martial law, I mean, anything that no one would have held it against him that supported him of the 75 million if he'd called for martial law. It was legal for him to do that. He didn't do it. And it says that they was frustrated, and they're frustrated as he hasn't helped any of the members who were arrested in connection with the siege on the Capitol. Trump could have written a statement saying any and everybody that was on or in Capitol Hill involved in what I'm referring to as the assault on the Temple of Democracy in any way, shape, or form, either through contact or discussion, that they are wholly and completely pardoned of any crimes that could ever be leveled against her. And that could cover 4,000 or 5,000 people. And he possibly have done that. I tend to think that's what he's done. But the Proud Boys, when they looked at like the rest of the world, I was like, when Trump, he just like fizzled. But by the way, not that I'm saying he was right about anything he's doing. I'm just reporting. I'm just being the quintessential James David Manning reporting, right? But I was wondering, what on earth did Kim Jong-un think about the way Trump left office? After all that bluster a week before, all that climbing the walls of the Capitol building, a police officer being killed, for the last 4 years, Trump had been selling wolf tickets. He's been blustering and blastering and doing all kinds, lying up a storm and talking trash to everybody. And then all of a sudden, at the very end of everything, after trying to keep himself in office, he just quits and walks away. I'm thinking, what on earth is Kim Jong-un thinking about Trump? I wonder if he wants to take his love letter back that he wrote to Trump. Is he saying, what on earth, these American cowboys, these Yankees, you can't do what? But now I think that, I think that Trump has got 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 pardons in a safe, entrusted to one of the Supreme Court justices, and that if it's ever needed, the people can say, the person can say, that Trump pardoned them on. And the other thing is that the question was raised by Alex Whitten, and Michael Cohen responded to it, was that, is it constitutional to pardon someone but don't announce it? Why do you have to announce it? It's still a pardon, whether the world knows about it. It's a pardon. He was president. He had the authority and the power to do it. And I think he may have even pardoned Michael Cohen. You think he did? He might have. He might have, it would say that Trump would have to have some empathy and a little bit of good blood in him to reach out and pardon Michael Cohen. But he might have. Michael needs one because he's been disbarred. If that pardon for Michael ought to, try to find out if he's been pardoned. Because if Michael has been pardoned, he can get his law license back. Right now, he's disbarred. He can give people counsel about legal issues and sit in and talk to boards and law firms, but he can't walk into a courtroom or sign a document as a barred lawyer. He's been disbarred. But if he's been pardoned, he can go back and get that bar, and he can go back to practicing law again. At any rate, I'm James David Manning. And no, I don't think he pardoned me. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.